Hey everyone, this is Jack Bourne, founder of Deadline Funnel, and I'm with a Deadline Funnel client, Claire Pelletreau, who is a Facebook and Instagram ads expert, especially for people who are spending at least $10,000 or more per month. And she's got some really innovative group coaching programs. So we'll be talking about that in a little bit. So Claire, great to have you here. Why don't you talk to us about, your journey? How did you get into this in the first place?
It's kind of a funny story. I was living in Argentina. I met my husband in Buenos Aires when I was living there, and he had a startup. And I was teaching English. And he was like, well, what if you did something else? Because I wasn't really happy with it anymore. I had always been like a writer and stuff. So I had done a little bit of like social media work, blogging for people via like Upwork or whatever it was called back then, Elance, I think.
Mhm.
And so he connected me with a friend, and they were just starting to do Facebook ads. I actually wasn't on their campaigns, but I started to learn just about paid traffic from then. When my boyfriend got some funding, he was like, okay, now I need a marketing person. And I realized that you're not a native speaker of the country where we're going to be marketing, but like maybe you can help with some things. So I started running Facebook ads to help him get like free trial users. And that was in 2012. And then when we realized that we wanted to stay together and therefore could no longer work together, I just started looking around for a remote job because we were moving around the world with his startup. And that's when I discovered sort of the info product world. I was hired by a company to like just be their marketing person. And that's where that's where I started really spending money on Facebook ads. Eventually, I think by the time I left there, Instagram ads still didn't exist, but I was doing Facebook ads, Google Analytics, blogging, all these things. But at the same time, I'm learning that you don't have to be like a star developer in order to start a company, because that's what I learned in the startup world, that like coders started companies, right? Not people who just had some good ideas, but that's what I learned about info products and courses and things like that. And when that company started shifting, they were pivoting. They didn't really need me anymore, and I wasn't a great fit. Kind of because I'd started this thing on the side. I was let go, and then I just started my business. I looked around for about 5 minutes to see like, do I get another full-time job? But I already had like one client on retainer. I had just done some like side work. And then that's when I went all in.
That's awesome. And so how did you, was it mostly word of mouth in the beginning, or did you actually start using Facebook ads to bring in your clients?
I started using ads mostly just to grow my list. So all I did was, well, not all I did. I did many, many, many things, and not very successfully, a lot of them. But I would blog, and a lot of times those blog posts would have YouTube videos embedded. So
Mhm.
I definitely got interest early from YouTube, from people who had found me on YouTube. And yeah, a lot of word of mouth. I put together some packages. I worked for very little money for enough people until I did start just getting a steady stream of clients. And at the same, like right when I finally hit that point where I was about booked up, I launched a course on Facebook ads, and I still have that course. It's called Absolute FB Ads. It's been updated like 20 times over the years. But I launched it for $97, and it's been something like, it was great that it didn't take me too long to get my first course out there, because once you get really inundated with client work, it can be hard to make that shift. But I was creating the course basically from the beginning of the year. Then I lost my job, and then I kind of went all in, and didn't make very much money my first year, but it was a good first launch.
Right. So what was a big turning point for you? Was it getting results from clients and having case studies and testimonials? And did that turn into self-confidence to be able to charge more? What do you think was a big turning point for you?
That's a really good question, because I would get clients results, but I would not ask for testimonials.
Mhm.
I would just like had all this stuff around that. eventually it got to the point where I would hire copywriters to get testimonials for me because they were, I knew the power of them. But I just like had weird things about asking happy clients for them. I don't know. But yeah, my name just got passed around. And because the person who I had worked for, was pretty big at the time in business, just having that experience, like it didn't even matter that I had been fired. So just having that experience, people would kind of trust me, and then I would over deliver, and then my name would just go around. But I would just go back and forth about whether or not I hated doing client work, because the scary thing about ads, and it has just gotten worse recently, is, you're spending people's money and they can typically see the results of their investment in the ads and of their investment in you very quickly. Or in a launch, it's like you're spending a lot of money on webinar ads or lead magnet ads, something like that. And if that doesn't convert later, it's just like these really uncomfortable conversations. People believe that it's your fault as the ad consultant. So I would quit doing client work, not make enough money for my course, go back to it, launch coaching. It was a roller coaster until about 2018 when this is when I finally set up my Evergreen webinar. And I'd been using Deadline Funnel for a long time before then, but just never had the right funnel. And that really changed everything. So I haven't done any real client work since the very beginning of 2020.
Gotcha. So you were able to transition away from client work and do a lot more group coaching. Is that really your model now? Is high-end group coaching?
Yes. I have had a lot of different programs. For a while, I had one where I trained other ad consultants, and that was a really great program. And one that I wish that I had had on Evergreen when the pandemic hit, because suddenly the interest in that skyrocketed. But I was 3 months away from having my second child. So it was just kind of like, yeah, no, I'm going to take what I have. That's just Evergreen, this webinar funnel, and I'll just go with that. Once I got back from maternity leave, I really did switch to this higher ticket coaching program for people who like were not running ads for other people who are working on their own business. And it is a tricky thing. I'll say that, because the program is $9,000, right? So at that price point, some people are like, well, shouldn't I just hire somebody? And, that can be a really tricky investment as well. So it depends on who the person is and what they actually want to learn, whether or not we're a good fit for them.
Yeah. So what is the ideal person for that coaching program, that high-end program?
So yeah, ideally it is people who have a proven offer. They have clients who are like obsessed with them, right? Like a lot of them have gotten those clients or those students in their courses organically, and they've kind of hit an organic wall. They've done very well. A lot of them have made 100K, 200K a year. They are doing better and better in their launches. Or they maybe they're doing better because they raise the price, but not because they're actually converting more. So what they need is more leads. The price point of the offer. So depending on if it is a coaching program or if it is a course, that's really important. I've had applicants who have sold a ton, but their course price is just too low for them to, if they don't have another offer on the back end, for the Facebook ads that I would suggest to make sense. So yeah, it's an interesting thing, but like having that higher price, or maybe in the case of like a SaaS business, a pretty high LTV, so that you can say like, all right, I'm going to spend more than what I get from a client in the first couple of months, but I know that it's going to come back to me.
Yeah, I can certainly relate to that, because in order for our ads to work, we have to look at how long are they sticking around, because it's even 14 days before we get the first dollar, and then it takes a while for you to make back that money. But if you're tracking your metrics, you can definitely see that some ad campaigns are really profitable. So tell me about your evergreen funnel. Like, what was the big aha for you that really took things to the next level for you?
Sure. So I worked with Mariah Kaz to build it. You know, she's just phenomenal at Evergreen and webinars and things like that. And so the concept was pretty simple. You know, it was webinar that has a special offer and a deadline. But I really liked the way she made it. She explained, you know, it was very simple. You don't put a lot of barriers between the person and the webinar that they're signing up for. It's not like fancy, oh, if you watch, you get these emails. And if you don't, there's just kind of like none of that. And I really resonated with that, just like simple plan, give everyone the offer, give everyone the opportunity to watch. And so it is 6 days. I always forget if it's 5 or 6, because that, you know, day one or day zero.
Right. Yeah, day zero. Yeah.
That has caused me to be in the chat with Jack many a time. I got to say, just like as a user, you know, I probably signed up in 2017, and I know you're not in the chat now, but like that always was a really big deal that you were helping me troubleshoot. And I mean, it's not sustainable. I get it, but I just love that. And it made me recommend Deadline Funnel to everyone. Because now I'm still troubleshooting things with the people in the chat, and they are great.
Yeah, and I'm still there every now and then, but just
yeah.
You know, now we've got more team members, and honestly, sometimes they do it a lot better than I would. But yeah, I hear what you mean. Like it's great to be able to sometimes get access to the founder. So that's you're not the first person to say that.
Well, yeah, I mean, and it's like, I know you can't do unscalable things forever, but you certainly can when you start. And that's what I believe. Like right now, the way my program is set up, I'm actually on my clients' ad accounts, and that's not scalable because right now I'm like looking at 10 different people's ads. And they're not like launching or anything, but anyway, it can definitely really help with that, like over delivering. Right. And like wowing people and making people talk about you. And something as kind of complex as setting up an evergreen funnel, you guys made it as easy as possible. Yeah, I think it's 6 days. There's a webinar. There's the sales pages. In my case, the sales page is directly underneath the webinar replay. We don't pretend that it's live or anything. We say this is a replay. And yeah, then there are emails that go out every day, a couple of times on the last day. I think it's funny that I say it like I don't even know the details of it anymore, because I mean, it's never like broken, you know, where suddenly things don't work. So I set it up a long time ago, and I think I updated the video, but that's like, that doesn't mess with the tech at all. It's really great. I'm like a walking billboard for Deadline Funnel. Let it be known.
So I have to ask, like, what is it about Deadline Funnel that makes you want to tell other people?
Well, I know that I'm like weird and nerdy, and like my greatest joy is actually setting up funnels with Deadline Funnel. Like that's the one thing I won't outsource because I just like it so much. It's the same reason I like Facebook ads. Like there's something about putting things together and then seeing how they go, like, wow, look at this money making thing. But I just think that you've taken a pretty complex thing and made it as manageable as humanly possible. And I've seen over the years how you have made it even clearer. You've made every step extremely clear. So the thing is, Deadline Funnel is kind of like Facebook ads where you aren't in there all the time. Like once you launch something that works, there's no real reason why you would be trying new things, creating new funnels or creating new ads every day. So if you have to go back and start over, I don't really have to, it's not like I have to take a course to figure out how to do it.
Well, thank you so much for sharing your experience and your case study. I think that this was really inspirational to hear the journey that you went through. I think a lot of people can relate to, juggling the done for you versus the coaching versus the course. And thanks for sharing those big pivotal moments in your journey. This has been great to hear.
Yeah, my pleasure.
See ya.
Bye.